Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today I'm answering a Dear Ruth Theresa question. So the question is, can you see how a ghost was killed? Well, yes and no, and everybody can see it a little bit differently. So if you were to talk to another psychic medium, they may be able to see it a little bit differently than I do. Now, a lot of times what happens that I see is I almost am using that person's eyes as the projector and looking at where they are, what's going on around them, and I can usually tap into how they feel about it. So if they didn't see it coming, I can't see it coming. Many years ago, I had a client who her sister was killed in a car accident, and the sister apparently thought that the walk light had turned so she could walk across the street, and she didn't, and she literally walked out in front of a vehicle, and the vehicle hit her. Well, I could tell that her sister's body was hurt and damaged in a lot of ways, but I couldn't see it because the sister didn't see it. She's literally looking straight ahead, and when the car came from the side, she didn't hear it, see it, or anything else. And it just like she walked out in front of them and they hit her. And so because she didn't see it, I couldn't see it. And everybody connects to ghosts in different ways, and that's just the way I connect to ghosts, is kind of seeing it, like I said, as a projector through their eyes of what they see. So if the person saw it happening, I'd say 7 or 8 years ago, I had a client come to me, and her family was moving here from Canada, moving to Texas from Canada, and they were driving down, and behind them they had, I want to say like a big U-Haul or a big trailer, with a whole bunch of stuff in it, their house, and I think they had 2 trucks behind them because they were literally like 3 kids, and they were all moving, mom and dad and 3 kids are moving from Canada down to Texas. And the car that the dad was driving was hit by a truck coming in onward traffic to him, and so he saw it coming. He saw the car pass the median. He saw the car come straight at him, and he didn't really have time to react to it. So I could also feel his energy with that of like, oh my gosh, this is about to happen and I can't do anything about it. So the impact came in on the driver's side, and the dad died instantly in that car crash. But it's one of those, I could see what he saw. And so when the family was trying to kind of like, we don't know if we should sue this person, because they were saying, maybe he came over the line, and I was like, Dad's saying no, he didn't fall asleep, he wasn't tired, he wasn't anything else. He's not the one that was at fault. And because of that, the family kind of kept pursuing things, and eventually the person that hit them actually confessed to it. So that just kind of kept their energy going of like, no, Dad is saying I didn't do this. Like I said, it really depends on how they passed, if they saw it, if they didn't see it, or how they felt about it, is a really interesting one. And I think one of the parts that's kind of interesting is kind of like people talk about the veil. So if the veil is here, people will be like, okay, I'm on Earth, I'm solidly here. And then as they get closer to passing, they'll kind of like not necessarily transition, but their viewpoint starts changing to kind of the other side. They will see family members that have passed, maybe their parents or siblings or whatever else, and then they're kind of more aware of what's on Earth. And they kind of keep doing this as they get closer and closer to passing. So that's something that I can also see is sometimes people be like, oh, my mom was talking to her mom or her dad or her uncle or whatever else, and they've been gone for a long time. So you didn't see them because they weren't on Earth, but she was seeing them because she was her consciousness was traveling over to that side to making sure that they're ready for her to come over. And so I could see, for a few moments, I could see like her mom, her dad, I think it was an uncle and an aunt that were really close to her, and then she would kind of come back and be more aware, and then kind of eventually she kept spending longer and longer time over there, and then eventually passed. So I can see what someone saw if they actually saw it, which is kind of an interesting one. So let's pull some angel cards and get us a little bit deeper insight into, can you see how a ghost was killed? So let's see. First one that's popping forward is surrender and release. I think so many times people think that the ghost saw it or the person saw everything, and a lot of times they really don't. That's kind of the hard part for the family, depending on how the person passed. And that can either bring a lot of peace that they didn't see it coming, or sometimes it can be, you know, like, oh my gosh, they were all by themselves. And that can bring a lot of worry and upset to a family who's mourning a loss of a loved one. Self-acceptance. It's one of those, sometimes a ghost really kind of like accept what's about to happen, even if they don't really know, kind of, I've heard this from many people, and it's happened in my family as well, is where people say things like, well, when I'm gone, you can do this, or when this happens, or when I pass, you can do blah, 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 blah. And a lot of times they're not aware of it, but usually they'll pass within a few weeks or a month or two of that time frame, and the family's like, I remember him talking about this. I remember she talked about this, that once she passed, we could do this, or we could sell a recipe, or whatever it is. And it's one of those, they kind of knew it, but it was more of an unconscious knowing more than anything else. Retreat. One of the best ways to kind of get messages from your loved ones, because I hear this one a lot, is people are like, I want to hear a message from the other side. The best thing that you can do to communicate with the other side is meditation. The more you meditate, the more you calm your energy down and relax, the easier it is to get to the other side. You have to kind of calm your energy down to speed it up. And I know that sounds totally insane when I say that, because I'm like, that's kind of two different concepts on the earthly plane, but in the heavenly plane, it's not. So you have to really calm your earthly energy down to allow your spiritual side to soar and make those connections on the other side. Let's do one more angel card. And I've got a couple popping. I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to pull this one. So this one is about healing. I do know that many people really have to have that knowledge of how someone passed, especially if there's a lot of questions. I've done that a lot with a lot of people where they say, you know, we think my brother committed suicide, or we think my niece committed suicide, or whatever else. And those angels will, those people will come back and go, no, or yes, I did. Or sometimes they'll even kind of weirdly take, like, my actions caused my passing, but I didn't commit suicide. So whatever they did in life caused them to pass, but not necessarily on purpose, like, oh, if I do this, this is going to cause me to pass. And so that's kind of just their awareness of it, and they will really tell me that part, or they will show me that part, like, I know this was, I knew this action right here was going to cause my passing over here at some point, but not consciously, completely aware of it. And that's something that a lot of people kind of take for granted, but it's something that's really important to understand, is when someone makes a comment like that, to kind of really take it to heart and get as much information from them as you possibly can. A lot of times it's unconscious, so you really have to kind of pull that energy out of them and get more information for you. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.